Hello and welcome to the investment summary for the Boulder Ridge Apartments, a 66-unit apartment complex in South Oak Cliff, a submarket of Dallas, Texas. This is a Class C investment and it is a value add opportunity. My name is Sean Warmond. I will be the lead investor in this project. My contact information is there at the bottom right hand of the screen, and that information will be available to you on the last slide should you have any questions in relation to this investment opportunity. Here's a quick disclaimer. Please read it in full. I do encourage you to do your own due diligence. PPMs for this project will be sent out on Wednesday, June 20th, and the subscriptions will not begin to be filled until June 25th. So after you read the PPM, there will be some time for you to properly vet this project, do your own due diligence, and make a well-informed decision. Additionally, please make sure you do not share this information with anyone else. This is strictly for people that have an established relationship with myself. Thank you in advance for that. Quick outline of the presentation. I'll give you my background. Those of you that don't know me very well or have not had the opportunity to learn my background, I'll go over that. We'll do a quick overview of the Texas, Dallas, and South Oak Cliff markets. Then we'll get into the deal summary of Boulder Ridge itself and what our business plan is for that property. We'll go over the timeline of events to follow, how to subscribe, and then I will give you information on how to ask questions should you have any after reviewing this presentation and reading the full PPM. As for my background, I am originally from Austin, Texas. I attended the University of Texas from 2002 to 2007, where I met my wife. We are pictured there at the bottom left-hand side of the screen. I don't like to make it public knowledge that I was in the Longhorn Band, but I was. There's proof of it in that beautiful uniform. I was also the drum major in 2006-2007 of the Longhorn Band. There's my lovely cowboy outfit from that. After college, I began working as a band director. I was a band director for 9 years. I started my career in Florida at Winter Park High School, suburb of Orlando. Then moved back to Texas, and I worked for 6 years at Trinity High School in Euless, Texas, which is in the mid-cities between Dallas and Fort Worth, and then retired from teaching after 9 years through real estate. I bought my first property in July of 2008. It was a 1920s craftsman home in the M streets of Dallas, now a very trendy neighborhood in the Dallas Metroplex. We completely gutted the place, added on a master suite in the back, tore down the garage, and rebuilt the rear detached garage with a 420 square foot studio apartment above the garage. So it was a massive project. I put in a lot of sweat equity. I think that if I recall correctly, the total expense on this for the rehab was about $200,000, and I did a lot of it myself, so the project took a very long time. It was a 14-month project. I lived in a trailer in the backyard to get this thing done. Another piece of information I don't share regularly, but I did live in a trailer in the backyard of that property. After that was done, was the downturn of the market, and I had to turn it into a rental. And at the same time, luckily, I found Lifestyles Unlimited. Did not join as a PIG PIG member at that point, but did start investing more in the Lifestyles model, buying smaller brick houses that were all foreclosed on, and I turned them into rentals. So all of these were in and around the Dallas Metroplex, and I've gone through disposition of some of these. So the Colony, Wiley, Saxe, Lancaster have all been sold. The Mesquite property is currently under contract, and I expect to close on that in the middle of July. These two rowlett properties were destroyed in the tornado a couple of years ago, and so they got a second round of rehab, and that was quite the project. And luckily, Rowlett is really recovering from that experience. Then in 2016, I sold that first Craftsman home that I built and did a 1031 exchange and traded into four other properties in Tarrant County. And those are all still owned and cash flowing quite well. Our property portfolio can be viewed a little more extensively at our website, warmandblackproperties.com. I will say up front that that website does not have everything about every single property, but it can give you an idea of the finish out that we try to provide our tenants with. Then in 2016, that summer was busy, so we did the 1031 in June, and then in July, I quit my job. We moved up to New York City for my wife's fellowship. My wife is an orthopedic surgeon specializing in sports injuries, hip, knee, and shoulder mainly, and she did her fellowship at the Hospital for Special Surgery on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So we moved there. Our son Brad was born shortly after we moved in August, and my wife was working on the medical staff for the New York Knicks. So there's my son Brad up there in the top left in his Knicks jersey. We went to a lot of games at Madison Square Garden, and that was a lot of fun. I took a hiatus from real estate while we were up there just due to proximity, and I had started the process of getting a patent on a piece of software for a real-time location system. So I spent my time in New York writing an 80-page patent application and all the attachments and artwork that go along with that, and was fortunate enough to have that patent granted this past October of 2017. So we're really excited about that. Then finally, in 2017, this past August, we bought a home and returned to Dallas, and our second child, Dave, was born this past April of 2018. We joined Lifestyles Unlimited in September of 2017 as preferred investors, and I completed my lead certification in October. My wife is now a full-time orthopedic surgeon with the private group Orthopedics Associates of Dallas, mainly working in the McKinney and Frisco areas. And that's our background. So now we will get into the market overviews. And I'm going to funnel this down. I'll start with just a small bit of information about the state of Texas, how the labor economy looks for the state of Texas. Then we'll funnel down to Dallas, and then finally get into the submarket of South Oak Cliff. So for Texas, this is just taken from Dr. Mark Dotzauer's presentation that he gave at the Old Capitol lecture a couple months ago. So as you can see from this, Texas has the most employment growth of any state in the 21st century. So in a fairly short amount of time, Texas has added 2.7 million jobs compared to other states that are close competitors. For Texas, the unemployment rate has been consistently lower than the United States unemployment rate. So a lot of participation in the workforce here in Texas. Employment growth rate is healthy as well, especially as of late. You can see that Texas is continuing to add jobs and people are continuing to move here. I think that I read that we have about 1,000 people a day are moving to Texas. As for Dallas itself, you can see on this map the Boulder Ridge complex is down there to the south. I do live fairly close. You can see from that map that I live 24 minutes away. So I live more in the North Dallas area, but for me, getting to this property is very simple. But this property is approximately 8 miles from the Dallas Central Business District. So Dallas proper itself is host to 1.3 million residents according to the 2016 census. And the Dallas Central Business District hosts 135,000 employees. Dallas is the 9th largest city in the United States, and it's part of the 4th largest major metropolitan area. So you can see there at the bottom I included what the top four are, what the GDP estimate is for those four metroplexes and their respective populations. Owner occupancy housing rates are at 41%, so that leaves a good portion of the population that are still renters. So it leaves us a large tenant base in which to draw potential tenants to Boulder Ridge. As far as the Dallas household labor force and employment, Dallas has a very diverse industry employment mix, which continues to support steady and progressive local economic growth and continues to dampen the negative effects of any single industry downturn. In 2016, the main four industries for the city of Dallas were trade, transportation, and utilities, the professional and business services, education and health services, and leisure and hospitality. So you can see that the city of Dallas is depicted in the blue of that graph. Some of the major employers here in Dallas, Walmart, Baylor Scott & White, Bank of America, Texas Instruments, JP Morgan Chase Bank, Southwest Airlines, and you can read on from there. So again, you see a diverse industry mix to, again, soften the negative effects of any single industry taking a downturn. Dallas household labor force and employment. Labor force participation in Dallas is above the nation's rate. In the graph, you'll see the gap between those residents who are working, which is shown in blue, and those within the labor force looking for work, which is shown in orange, has been decreasing rapidly since the recession. Dallas's unemployment rate. The city of Dallas has matched or outperformed the national unemployment rate since 2008, and the city's diverse economy have helped to keep this unemployment rate lower than the United States average. The total one-year unemployment change. Dallas-Fort Worth has one of the nation's 12 largest metropolitan statistical areas for one-year employment change as of February 2018. The DFW over-the-year job growth during this period exceeded the national increase, which was 1.6%. We were beat out by the Phoenix area at 3%, but we followed closely at 2.7%. This is a population density map showing the place of residence for the Dallas Central Business District employees, and as you can see, the Boulder Ridge submarket is home to a good amount of this workforce. Now getting into the submarket of South Oak Cliff, there is a current movement being pushed by the mayor Mike Rawlings. It's called Grow South. You can learn more about this if you want to go to dallasgrowsouth.com. Again, that's dallasgrowsouth.com. You can read about some of the projects that are going on and some of the statistics of the area, but today 55% of the citizens in Dallas live north of the Trinity River. So that's that green space with the river running through it just south of downtown Dallas on the map there. So 55% of citizens in Dallas live north of the Trinity, yet that part of the city provides 85% of the tax base. And the remaining 45% of the population, which is south of the Trinity River, only provides 15% of the tax base. So there's a strong movement from the mayor and other city council members to really encourage development in this area to increase the tax base, provide better housing, provide better lifestyle, and better business down in the southern parts of the city. There's a lot of new infrastructure that's being put in and developed to get citizens of Dallas into and out of the central business district of Dallas. So In a few years, what they're working on around the Dallas Zoo area is to put a deck park over the interstate, similar to what's taken place in downtown proper with a project that's called Clyde Warren. So Clyde Warren Park is a park that's been put on top of a highway and provided more green space and really revitalized one of the areas that bridges downtown to uptown. The I-35 expansion project, which is part of this, adding the deck on top of I-35, it's a $666 million project. It's 11 mile expansion project, and it's designed to provide congestion relief. It's going to offer reversible, non-tolled express lanes that will be added to I-35 to just relieve that congestion. The park that they're looking to build, it's going to be a 6-acre green space. It's going to have a children's garden, water features, art, a dog park, and a pavilion for concerts and other events. In addition to some infrastructure that has already gone in, you have the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge. That's that top picture provided there. And then recently opened are the new I-30 bridges that take residents commuters on I-30 across the Trinity River. So those are all new. I-35 has also had a major expansion take place over the Trinity that has provided a lot more lanes for commuters to use to relieve congestion. Once you cross the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, you get into the Trinity Groves development. Currently, Trinity Groves has a good number of really good restaurants. Four Corners Brewery is down there. There's some Class A apartments that have recently opened, and they do have plans to develop more Class A apartments as well as some hotels. So that area is really growing, and it's growing fast. Once you go across I-30, you'll get into the Kessler Park area. Methodist Hospital, a large employer, is in that area. Kessler Park is a well-established neighborhood already, but still developing even more. They have plans for 5,000 Class A apartment units to be added in the next few years. Again, even further south, you get into the Bishop Arts District. This area has been growing quite a bit over the past few years. Lots of restaurants, bars, and now there are Class A apartments going in, and more retail is making its way down there. So you can see the progression of development is making its way south, and the city is really encouraging this, and I'm hopeful that this will continue and it will really have positive effects for the Boulder Ridge area. Once we get into a little bit closer to Boulder Ridge, this is just a map of some of the larger employers within the area. Let me go to our interactive map, which is not cooperating. There we go. All right, so down here we've got Boulder Ridge, which is right here at Keystone Westmoreland. A little bit further to the west, this area has a lot of shipping and a lot of distribution. So working from south to north, we have Niagara Bottling Company, their distribution plant. We have Ulta Beauty's distribution plant, Ready Refresh, Nestle, and then the Costco distribution center as well. A little bit further north, we get into Dallas Baptist University. Over here on Keast, this is more just transportation area, shipping, JB Hunt Transportation, Dan & Wave Foods, Manheim Dallas, and Old Dominion Freight Line. So good employers in the area for us to draw a tenant base from. Local schools in the area. Park right across Keast from Boulder Ridge, really nice park. And then Keast Park is a very large park, nice little amenity in the neighborhood for tenants to take advantage of. If you go a little bit further north, above I-30, here we get into some manufacturing, a lot of metal work, steel plants, aluminum plants. So here we have Baldwin Metals, ISC Building Materials, and Atlas Metalworks. So those are, and then like I mentioned before, you got Methodist Hospital right there. So good employers, Dallas is Executive Airport down here, and then the Dallas Zoo just across I-35. So good job market down in South Dallas for us to have gainfully employed tenants. All right, this is traffic count of the major thoroughfares around Boulder Ridge. What we're mainly concerned about is the intersection of Keast and Westmoreland. So here's Keast and Boulder. So Keast, Boulder, and Westmoreland are what we're really paying attention to. So you can see that pretty consistently on Keast, you have a little over 13,000 vehicles per day passing by on that street. And then on Westmoreland, which is just to the west of Boulder Ridge, that street has heavy traffic as well. 15 to 20,000 cars per day, vehicles per day passing that intersection. So good amount of traffic in the area for us to have some curb appeal and draw some tenants into the community. This is just a map showing where those traffic counts were taken. And this is another traffic map that was provided in the offering memorandum by Marcus and Millichap. Again, just proving that it's a high volume of traffic that takes place in the area. So this one has Keast getting about 11,000 vehicles per day and Westmoreland getting about 13,000 vehicles per day. All right, now the deal itself. So like I said, this is a value play. We're going to achieve the value in equity through unit conversions. We're going to attempt to, there's no guarantee of this, but there's currently a deed restriction for age on the property, so we're going to work to remove that. We're going to improve the effectiveness of the operations that are currently taking place on the property, and then increase the economic occupancy through eliminating loss to lease, and then we're going to have other income streams through RUBS and through some charges of parking as well. The team on this deal, like I said, I'm the lead investor on this. Key principals are Alan and Laurel Beezer. A public thank you to them for believing in me and believing in this project and helping provide what's necessary from a key principal to be able to pull this off. So thank you again to Alan and Laurel Beezer. Property management is going to be provided from Astro Residential. Their key players are Vicki Skidmore and Christine Stevens. The lender, we're working with Old Capital, and specifically John Brickson and James Ing. The attorneys out of Calliser and Associates, Cindy and Greg, have been a massive amount of help up to this point, and I'm sure they will continue to be. Mentors are the Dallas Lifestyles mentors, Charles Ho and Don Rao, and I've been working closely with Charles on this deal. And finally, the broker is a Lifestyles broker, Jackie Green. As for the unit conversions and how we're going to achieve the desired value, this is building 5 that you're looking at, and its unit mix is 9 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units, and they are 1,280 square feet, so a pretty large unit for this area. And then there's one two bed, 1-bath unit that's 940 square feet, and that one unit is right there where the arrow is pointing. The glass door that you see next door to that to the right, that's the leasing office. So this unit conversion has already taken place once to make the leasing office, and we're just planning to do it 9 times over and create more efficiencies. You can see on the picture that there are 2 entrances to one unit. So here outlined in the red, that's one entrance that's going to take you into the living room. You can see that from the floor plan provided on the left. And then the other door outlined in blue, upon entry you'll find yourself in the 3rd bedroom. So that 3rd bedroom has an interior entrance and an exterior entrance. Additionally, that 3rd bedroom does have its own bath. You can see that bath 2 is connected directly to bedroom 3, and there are 2 closets within that bedroom. So our plan is we're going to take this interior door that is circled and we're going to wall it off and seal that door up, and there's your conversion. So it's a very simple way to achieve a higher unit count. Then we're going to remove a closet, put in a kitchen, and I believe we should have enough room for 30-inch appliances. So we'll do a 30-inch range and a 30-inch refrigerator, as well as a microwave, a 30-inch microwave over the range. So it will have a properly sized kitchen. From working with the city zoning office, the minimum square footage for an efficiency is 220 square feet, and with this unit conversion we'll be at 340, so we'll be within the zoning requirements to be able to pull this off. Current unit mix, you can see it there on the left: 14 1-1s, 28 2-2s, 14 2 1.5s or 1.5s, that 1-2-1 that was converted to the leasing office, and then 9 3-2s at 1,280 square feet. So after the conversions, the only thing that'll change is there at the bottom. So now we'll have 10 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 940 square foot units, and 9 efficiencies totaling 340 square feet. So we will up our total unit count to 75 and bring in 9 more units. Another value add component will be the removal, hopefully a removal of the current deed restriction. This deed restriction requires that 1 tenant per unit must be 55 years in age or older. This is not a senior living facility. You can have residents there that are younger than 55, but each unit itself does have to have 1 resident on the lease that is 55 years or older. This is a result of a lawsuit, Boulder Ridge Apartments versus the City of Dallas, that took place in 2004. We do not know the nature of the lawsuit, but we know that the result was the city slapping this deed restriction on the property. We are currently in contact with the city attorney's office to get this deed restriction lifted. Since the restriction in 2004, we have a new city attorney and a brand new city attorney staff. They were actually not even aware that there was a restriction on this property. It wasn't on their radar. So we've been going down this deep wormhole of who to talk to. We believe that we finally have the right person. We have a good point of contact, and we have documentation that we need to provide to the city attorney's office that will hopefully result in the removal. But let me reiterate, there is absolutely no guarantee that we will be successful in this attempt to get this deed restriction lifted. So I'm going to go back one slide and discuss that. So the plan is to do the unit conversions. One of the questions that we have is the desire for the 55 plus community to have a 340 square foot apartment. So, does someone that is like 60 years old, do they have a need for a smaller apartment? And we've been toying with this idea, and what we're planning on doing is we're going to do 2 conversions. So we'll up the unit count to 68 units. We'll test the market, because we're assuming that upon takeover that the deed restriction will still be in place and we'll still be working to get it removed. So upon takeover, we're going to be still marketing the property to the 55 plus community. So we'll convert 2 units, test the waters, see if there's a demand for these efficiencies. If they lease up quickly and there seems to be a demand, great. We'll continue to convert the other units and continue with the business plan. We do expect with this population, this 55 plus population, that we will find some single people, divorcees or widowers that are on a fixed income, on Social Security, that are needing a smaller living space that comes with a smaller price tag, so that they can qualify for a lease on an income basis. So we're going to test the water. If the deed restriction is lifted, then there's no concern. There are other complexes in the surrounding area that have efficiencies that lease out at a healthy physical occupancy rate, so we're not concerned about that. But it's just testing the waters on if there's a demand within the 55 plus community. Some of the comps in the area: the Muse, Windsor Townhomes, Estrella Apartments, Westwood Apartments, and Highland Road Village. The Muse is the closest comp in proximity, definitely not in size. It is 804 units, so it is a very, very large complex. It used to be known as Tierra Linda. It had a very bad reputation in the area. Lots of Section 8 tenants, lots of crime on the property. New owners have come in and really cleaned up the property. So if you drive by, you'll see that there's a large amount of rehab that's been done to the exterior. The interiors look great. They've done a great job on the clubhouse. They've got a workout room. So they've done an excellent job, and they've cleaned house of all the Section 8 tenants, and now they have a safe community there. You can see the rent rates there, and it operates as an all bills paid community. It's 93% occupied. As I said, it went through a recent renovation. It was formerly Section 8 tenant base. I did catch wind on a due diligence visit at Boulder Ridge with some of the brokers and lenders that were there that I believe this is switching hands. I think it's going through a sale, and I think it's selling somewhere in the 80K a door range, but I don't know the exact number. A little bit further south, Windsor Townhomes, they're getting 95 cents a square foot for rent, 185 units. They do bill back some of the utilities. It varies in how much they bill based on unit size, but I would say the average bill back for utilities per unit is approximately $65 per unit, and it is 90% occupied. Estrella Apartments, this recently changed hands. It was sometime around the new year, either before or after, I can't remember. They're getting a good amount of rent per square foot for all their units. It's got low occupancy because it had just changed hands and they had just begun an extensive renovation on the property. So occupancy was suffering because of that. It is all bills paid as well. And like I said, it recently changed ownership. Westwood Apartments, very close by. This one had the current ownership did a large exterior rehab to this place. As I understand it, there's still meat on the bone for the new owner to do some interior work, and I think this is trading hands as well at around the 80K a door range. 199 units, getting about a $1 per square foot, so a little bit lower in terms of price per square foot, but they do bill back water, trash, electricity, and gas, and the average unit is billed back roughly $125 for all their utilities. They do offer covered parking, so this submarket does have a desire for covered parking. Westwood Apartments does it for $25 a month. This place is currently 94% occupied, and like I said, changing ownership. And then finally, Highland Road Village, they're getting $1.14 a square foot, so higher rent per square foot, but they're operating as an all bills paid community, and it is 95% occupied. And finally, Boulder Ridge, the subject property, 66 units, lower average rent, $745. And there's a mistake here. That rent per square foot should actually be 80 cents a square foot. So the slides after that will reflect that. So 0.78 is actually incorrect. It's 2 cents higher. It's 0.80, or sorry, 0.80. All bills paid, they are starting to bill back water at $25 a month. There are only a handful of units that this is taking place with, so there hasn't seemed to be any pushback from the tenants. They seem to be comfortable paying that, so it fits into our business plan. We're actually estimating about $65 a unit on average for bill back, so I think it falls within, I think that number falls within the threshold of what the current tenant base can handle. And it's actually not 100% occupied. Since making these slides, one tenant has moved out, so whatever that math is, 65 units that are occupied out of 66. The average rent in the area. So average rent for all of these properties is $905 a unit. And you can see Boulder Ridge is at $745 for their average rent. So rents are 21% below the average market rent. So there's plenty of upside for pushing rents. Average rent per square foot. The average for the full area that we have taken as our sample size is $1.03, and Boulder Ridge is at 80 cents. So again, a lot of room, a lot of upside potential for pushing rents higher. The average unit size. So of all those properties that we just looked at, the average unit size is approximately about 820 square feet. So you can see there that Boulder Ridge is on the high side of that average. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that those 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units are over 1,200 square feet. So we're offering larger units, and with larger units comes less rent potential. So that's some of the justification, again, for doing the unit conversions. So our unit sizes are 15% larger than the average submarket unit size. So once we do the unit conversions, it'll drop the average of this sample size. It'll drop it down to 801 square feet, and Boulder Ridge will now conform more to the average unit size for that area. And subsequently, we can push rents a little bit higher, not having those 1,200 square foot 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units on our books. Our business strategy, this is a couple of scenarios that we have laid out. The base case for what we're projecting is outlined in red. Above that, you'll see our lowball estimates, and then below that, you'll see our best case scenario. But for all the financials, we're going to use this base case. So in the base case, current rents are on the far left, and then we get into the middle column of year 1, and then the year 2 column is to the right. So you can see in the base case, we're going to go from 80 cents a square foot in rent to $1.01 in year 1, and then $1.07 in year 2. And you can see the breakdown of what we're going to charge for each unit. So that'll be a 34% increase in rent per square foot. And we're going to achieve this new rent rate through the capital improvements that we're going to do to the property, which are listed there for you to go through. Some of the highlights is we're going to convert all 9 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units into what we discussed before, into 10 2-bedroom, 1-bath units and 9 efficiencies. And then all the remaining units outside of Building 5 where that conversion is taking place, we're going to upgrade 75% of the remaining units, which totals 37. And then we will leave the other 19 units untouched, and we'll leave that as the meat on the bone for the next buyer to be able to have some upside for themselves as well. We're going to remove the window units, and you'll see all the window units in the pictures that are coming up, and we're going to install central heat and AC. And the reason for doing this is the window units are in place now because the current owner, the chiller system, bit the dust, and instead of replacing it, he just took the whole thing out. So there's not even remains of a broken chiller system. It's just gone, and he put in window units in every single unit. So to make the property conform to the market standard, we are going to put in central heat and AC. The Muse offers this, Westwood offers this. It's just kind of the market standard. We debated putting in or just replacing the chiller, but it's just not going to work. It's way more trouble than it's worth. We'll add in a barbecue area with a pergola. We'll do cedar accents on the railings, and then the interior upgrade package will include two-tone paint, black appliances, new cabinets, new granite countertops or resurfacing of existing countertops, new electrical fixtures, and new vanities in the bathrooms. Those are the highlights. There's also a lot of landscaping that needs to be done. You'll see that from the pictures, and then you can see the rest of the stuff that we're planning to do over there on the left. Photos. So this is a picture of the property as you approach on Keast. You can see that it's heavily treed, not a lot of visibility just because of the neglect to the landscape. So our plan here is to trim up some of these trees, show a little love to the landscaping and put in a monument sign that you can see from both directions on Keast. And just as a reminder, Keast is a highly trafficked area, about 13,000 cars per day pass this area. So with better visibility and with a better look to the property, we feel we can draw in a higher class tenant base and start to push rents. This is the view from Keast and Westmoreland, and if you remember from our traffic counts, both of these streets are highly trafficked, and you could not really tell from this view that there's an apartment complex there. So again, heavy work to the landscaping to free up some of this visibility, and then that retaining wall will be painted and the monument sign will be placed in that area and will be visible from high traffic streets. As you approach the entrance of the complex, it is completely gated to keep the riffraff out. Unfortunately, these gates are not operational at this time. We are planning to make them work to offer an extra level of security for our tenants. As you pull in, building 5 is to your right. That's where the 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units are, and the leasing office. The leasing office will get some love as well. We will be planning on updating that leasing office as well. Across from there is building 1. This building is composed of 2-bedroom units that are 2 stories, so it's a 2-story townhome unit. As you can see, all the window units that are there. The roof is in good shape, so roofs and foundations for this whole place are in great shape. We had those thoroughly inspected by licensed contractors, and they have certified that they look good. Going further along, buildings 2 and buildings 3, you see a lot of satellite dishes that are mounted on the building. We are going to restrict the use, or not the use, we're going to restrict placement of satellite dishes. We'll put racks on the sides of the buildings where tenants can have their dishes installed there, so it's less of an eyesore. So as soon as we get rid of the AC units and the satellite dishes, we feel that this will really make this property look a lot better. And there's building 4. That'll have a lot of cedar accents on that railing, paint all that fascia and that siding. The brick is going to remain the same. And that's building 4. The laundry facility and boiler room needs some love. So there's some plumbing work that needs to be done inside the boiling room for just some shoddy plumbing work that's been done in the past. And then the laundry facility, new flooring, new paint, put in a countertop for tenants to fold their laundry when they're finished. Here's where the pool used to be. It was filled in. So we're going to take some decomposed granite, cover this place up, add to the amenities. Right now the only amenity on the property is a laundry facility, so we'll add an extra amenity by making a barbecue area. So decomposed granite in this whole area, put in a charcoal grill and a pergola for tenants to enjoy that space. The dumpsters are placed in a bit of a awkward position, so we're going to move those dumpsters. We're actually going to get rid of those and get a 30-yard roll-off dumpster, and we should be able to get ourselves about 4 or 5 more parking spaces out of this area. So there's 94 parking spaces right now, and we only require a 1-to-1 parking ratio, parking to unit count ratio. So currently 66 units with 94 parking spaces. We're going to up to 75 units and add, let's call it 4. So we'll add 4 more parking spaces, but we're going to lose 1 from where we're going to move the trash. So it's only a net of 3, but that'll take our parking space count to 97. So we're still 97 parking spaces, 75 units. We're still at the proper ratio that the city wants. And our plan for parking is we're going to give each unit is going to have its own assigned spot for free that comes with the lease, and then you can pay for premium parking. Right now we're throwing around $25 to $35 excuse me, $25 to $35 a month to have a guaranteed parking spot. So we'll test the market with that and see how the tenants respond. This is where the new dumpster is going to go. It is outside of the gate of the property, and there's a slip there that they're just not taking advantage of now. So where that Chevy is, that spot will be lost, and we'll put a 30-yard roll-off dumpster right here. This is just an example of the condition of the back patios on the property in building 4. So just some shoddy work that has been done, and we're going to rip all that out, and we will put in cedar fencing to make it look a lot better. Interiors, they're not in terrible shape, but they definitely need a little bit of a facelift. So you can see there are no not washing machines. There are no dishwashers in any of the units, so we will put those in place as well. There's also vent hoods over the range, so we'll get rid of those and put in a microwave as the vent hood. New cabinets, new cabinet pulls, potentially new countertops, or just resurfacing. Floors are in pretty good shape. A lot of these units have this 12 by 12 tile that's in good shape, and it looks good. So we're going to save ourselves some expense by salvaging the floors. Here's a bathroom. This bathroom is in pretty good shape considering the full property. So we'll put in framed mirrors, new vanities, new faucets, and new lighting. Bedrooms, we'll add ceiling fans, paint. This one would get new flooring as well, and we'll just make it look that much better. All right, the financials. So we are getting this property for $3.5 million at its current unit count of 66 units. The purchase price per unit is in the ballpark of $53,000, if I recall correctly. These numbers here are based off of the 75 unit count, so we would be getting it for $46,667 a door, which in this market is pretty darn good. The loan that we're going to get is a Freddie Mac non-recourse loan for $2.725 million. It's a 20-year hybrid with an initial fixed rate for the first 5 years. Our interest rate is 4.79. 1 year of IO. The prepayment premium is going to be a step down 54321, and we could get maximum leverage of 80% LTV. The way this is panning out, we're actually going to be leveraged at about 78%. And this is a new Freddie Mac product that offers a DSCR of 1.2. So that's how we're able to get a little bit higher leverage. And the amortization is over 30 years. And our capital outlay for rehab, which was shown a few more slides ago, rehab not in loan is $1.175 million, which is about, let's round up and call it $16,000 a door. So there's some of the specifics of the loan. This was presented earlier. This is our base case for what we're going to do for rent. So the current rent and current unit count is over there on the left. So we're going to take this from doing an annual income for rents of $595,000 and push it up to $804,000. Year 1, we're expecting to have exterior upgrades complete. We're going to rebrand the property. I think the name Boulder Ridge has run its course in this area, and it needs to be known as something new. Unit conversions will be complete, and then the interior upgrades for 25% of the remaining units will be done as well. By year 2, we anticipate to have 75% of the interior upgrades complete, which is all we're planning on doing. And then our pro forma rent assumptions, which is our base case scenario, will be a 34% increase in the rent rate over 2 years. And something to note is that the 2-year pro forma rents are based on today's market comps. The rent assumptions do not include any natural or organic rent appreciation. Down here at the bottom left, we've got physical and economic vacancy, and I've tried to be really conservative with my numbers here, assuming that in year 1, while we have a lot of work being done on the property and a lot of tenant turnover, I'm assuming that we're going to have 10% physical vacancy and 15% economic vacancy. And then in year 2, we'll start to stabilize and get to 7 and 5 respectively. And then from there, we just keep them at 5% physical and 5% economic. Expenses on the property, annual expenses, the big ones that I just want to point out, property taxes. Our property tax expense is based on 90% of the purchase price at the 2017 tax rate, so that puts us at $85,000. I'll call it $86,000 in taxes. And then the other one is the per lifestyles guidelines, the asset management and property management fee cannot exceed 5%. So I just want to point out that the Astra residential property management fee of 2.5% is included in this figure, general and administration. So that figure of 31,518, that does include the 2.5% property management fee in that number. I'll also point out and explain why I'm hiring a third-party management. I know it is Lifestyle's or suggested best practice to self-manage. In addition to being a full-time real estate investor, I'm also the stay-at-home dad. And with 2 young children, my schedule is too unpredictable to be able to say that I can manage this property and manage it the way it needs to be managed with 2 little ones. So we're bringing on a little extra help, and the Astra residential fee of 2.5% is too good to turn down. So that's why the decision was made to bring them on. And here's a full look at how this all plays in together. I'll point out at the bottom here, you'll see net cash flow annually, but just above that it says asset management fee, so that's 2.5%. So that's the other 2.5% of the 5% that Lifestyles allows. And there you can see, I guess the other thing to point out here, for other income, you see utility reimbursement, so that's our RUBS program. And then other revenue and income is just going to be based on late fees, parking fees for parking, parking violations, and things of that nature. So we're looking to increase the net cash flow from year 1 of 60,904 to, I'll just look at year 3, to 202,093. And I will provide this in PDF form. I'll provide this full PowerPoint in a PDF format so that you can dig into the weeds a little bit more and pick this apart. And finally, here's how all of that comes together for your projected returns. We are assuming a disposition cap rate of 6.25%, and we are assuming a year 3 sale. This being a value play, we are trying to get in and out of this project as fast as we can. I feel that a sale within year 3 is very reasonable. So for year 1, we're looking at a cash-on-cash return of 3%. So do not expect a lot of yield in this deal for that first year. Year 2, we're looking at 8%. And then in year 3, the year of disposition, we're looking at 9% returns. And then how that affects a year 3 return again at a 6.5% cap rate. If we're going to look to sell for $6.64 million, that would have a net proceeds to passives of about $1.5 million, which is a 70% return on your equity. So when you put all that together, your cash-on-cash return plus your profit from the equity of the sale, we're looking at total returns of 89% or an average annual return of 30% for 3 years. And again, this will be provided in PDF forms for you to pick apart. Rent growth sensitivities for cash on cash and total return. So this is again based on our base case and then the higher and lower projections. So the 25% rent increase is shown there at the bottom. It would be year 1, 3%, year 2, 6%, and year 3, 7%. We've already gone over the base case. The base case is presented there in gray. And then best case scenario, you're looking at a 5% cash on cash year 1, 9% year 2, 10% year 3. Then your year 3 sale total returns for those 3 scenarios would be 118%, 89%, and 52%. Total returns with rent growth and cap rate sensitivities. So again, this is based on a 25% rental increase, 34% rental increase, and 40% rental increase, and the cap rate sensitivities of 6%, 6.25%, and 6.5%. So we're looking at a return of anywhere from a total return of 43% to as high as 130%. So we're right there in the middle with our base case of 89%, but I want everyone to be aware of the potential for the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. As for our timeline, we've been working on this deal. This goes well before April. We worked on this deal going back to early March. So we've gotten through a lot. Currently doing the property webinar on June 19th. The PPM will be released tomorrow, June 20th, and then you'll have a few days to review all this material and do all your proper due diligence. And then subscription will begin on June 25th. Subscription closes July 3rd, and we are anticipating closing and having takeover take place on July 20th. How to subscribe? You are going to receive an email at 8 o'clock Central Time on Tuesday, July 19th, and it's going to contain a link to our investor questionnaire. Let me show that to you really quickly, if I can. All right, so once you click on the link, you'll be taken to this questionnaire. You'll just need to provide first name, last name, email address. Please try to use the same email address that you provided to get on our passive investor list, the one that you use for all lifestyles correspondence. A couple questions about your lifestyles membership. Are you accredited or sophisticated? How much do you wish to invest in Boulder Ridge? And then the source of those funds and any additional comments you wish to provide about yourself. So please fill all that out in its entirety. Hit submit. That'll go to me, and I will know that you are interested in subscribing to this investment. The email that you receive will also include PDFs of this webinar, so you can go through it again and go through all those financials in a little more detail. And then I'll provide my resume for my wife and I as well. Complete the short investor questionnaire to receive a copy of the PPM. The PPMs will be emailed out on June 20th. I'm not going to give you a specific time. It will get to you when I'm able to get to you on June 20th. And then selection of passive investors for subscriptions will be based on your degree of established relationship with myself and the investment amount. The minimum investment for this project is going to be $25,000. This part's really important. Receipt of the PPM does not guarantee acceptance of your subscription in this investment. And based on preliminary interest in this project, I've had a lot of people talk to me about it already, so I expect that this deal will fill quickly. You're welcome to submit your subscription agreement to me at any time, but we will not start executing agreements until June 25th, so that you have the proper amount of time to do all your due diligence for this project. If your subscription is accepted, it is very important that your money is wired and your paperwork is complete by Tuesday, July 3rd. If it is not and you miss that deadline, we will offer your subscription to the next person in line. And again, I mentioned this at the beginning, but I'll say it again. This is not a general solicitation, so please do not forward this webinar or the email you receive with investor documents to anyone else. It is for you and you only. And finally, if you have any questions, there's my contact information. Please make sure you review this, this webinar in its entirety. Please make sure you read the PPM completely before you contact me with questions. Chances are the answers to your questions can be found in one of those two documents. If you do have questions, relevant questions, please email them to my email address, sean@wbequity.com, and please make the subject line of your question read Boulder Ridge questions, just so I can keep track of stuff easily. That is it. Hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I look forward to hearing back from you inside your questionnaire for showing interest in this property. Thank you.